Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Astro Consciousness channel. I'm Millie, and I am here to give you your forecast for the week of September 15th through the 21st. In this channel, we talk about the astrological energy of the week ahead and how you can integrate it into your personal and spiritual growth. So, how is this eclipse season going for you all? I know that I have been riding the emotional wave deeply, moving through a lot of stuff in mostly internally as an individual, but also a lot of shifts and changes in the external reality that I think are reflecting back to me. Oh, there are some changes, there's some remodeling happening in our apartment, for instance. So there's some remodeling happening within, right? Um, in terms of manifestations, massive manifestations for clients, oh my God, what a joy. Four of my coaching clients manifested homes, right? Um, this is the beauty of being with being with and understanding the energy of astrology and eclipses. For two of them, this was a process that they had planned, that they had been moving through, and finally their homes manifested. For others, it was very South Node Sun conjunction that we had last week. Um, and it was like out of nowhere, very quickly, are things happening? Are things moving for people? I had another client reach out that she knows two other people who manifested homes. So that Jupiter and Cancer energy is very strong for everyone right now, right? I have a good friend who moved from Seattle back to LA. So this shift in home, this shift in whatever is happening in our home, or the desire for a significant shift in our home, is only a reflection of what we are ready, of what we have decided within ourselves. I would say since last eclipse season. For those of you who purchased the eclipse guide, we still have one more eclipse coming up Sunday, September 21st. If you haven't yet purchased it, I strongly recommend that you do. Head to astroconsciousness.com. It's $25. But for those of you that have it, I gave you an overview. And really, I talked about the emotional, spiritual boot camp that we've been through, what that means, and now how that's unfolding this September and for the rest of the year. I mean, it's sometimes I fall short in words for what an incredible, somewhat difficult, lots of stuff to move through this eclipse season has been. And, but as always, so grateful. So grateful for everything that is moving on its own, knowing that I am always divinely guided, protected, and provided for. And I hope that that is something that you feel for yourself as well. We begin the week with Monday, right? Monday, September 15th. We have Venus in Leo at 25 degrees Leo. When you see me look down, it's because here I have my notes. Is going to create a beautiful sextile, right, to Mars in Libra at 25 degrees Libra. When Venus and Mars, the cosmic lovers of the zodiac, are in an aspect, a soft aspect to one another. They're inviting each other. The masculine and the feminine are working together a little bit more. We feel it within ourselves. But here's the thing. Mars in Libra is creating an opposition to Chiron in Aries. Okay? Venus in Leo is creating a trine to that Chiron in Aries. So, if this was just Venus and Leo sextile Mars and Libra, we're feeling really confident about ourselves. We're feeling really good about where we're headed. We have considered all of the pros, all of the cons. Okay, we're well informed. I'm making a well-informed decision. I'm taking action from a well-informed place. That is still true. And what Chiron brings into the mix can be a little bit of doubt, a little bit of fear, a little bit of trepidation, right? Saying, okay, yes, I'm well informed, I've done the research, I'm moving in this direction. Oh man, but but I remember the last time that I tried to do this and it didn't work. I remember the last time that I tried to pitch this and it didn't work. I remember the last time that I tried to have this conversation and it just was not received. Remember, one of the things that I've been saying over the last couple of weeks is that you have to be able to see yourself first before others can see you. Now, when it comes to relationships, this is really interesting because what Venus sextile Mars give us the opportunity to do here is to say, okay, we can begin to understand each other a little bit more, but each person as an individual. Each person as an individual, which means that a lot of the expectations need to fall, right? Because we are two individuals coming together, not to complete one another, right? But to walk this path together. But here's the thing. The opposition that Mars has to Chiron can create an energy of reactivity. And what we can tend to do when oppositions are active is to project. So, what Mars in Libra in opposition to Chiron in Aries, Mars rules Aries. Aries Libra is the axis of relationships. This isn't about what am I learning about the wound that that person caused me. That's not what this is about. This is about what am I learning about the wound that came from this relationship? And more importantly, what am I learning about my choice to be in a connection like this? What am I learning about why I chose to be in a situation like this? That's different. But what that promises, Venus trine Chiron, is I'm taking self-responsibility. I'm learning. I'm learning because we have to remember that everyone around us is a mirror, not because they're reflecting back exactly the things that we are, but because they're reflecting back the choices that we're making, especially in relationship. So, this is about being proactive versus reactive. Proactive says, wait a minute, I'm the one who chose this connection. I'm the one who chose to be in this relationship. And this goes beyond romantic relationships, okay? So, what is it there? What am I trying to fulfill? What role am I trying to play? Am I trying to be the savior, the fixer, the what is it, right? As opposed to, well, they took advantage of me. Well, they made me feel this way. Well, they did this to me. Mm, okay, let's see how that lands for some of you. Okay, Tuesday, September 16th, we have the moon in Cancer. And so the moon in Cancer, what it's going to do is that it's going to create a conjunction, come together to Jupiter in Cancer. I think that this is a really lovely day to kind of celebrate a little bit, celebrate, especially for those of you who have been manifesting really lovely things, really beautiful connections, manifestations, a sense of healing, something that you thought, I am so grateful that this came through. I invite you to, at the very least, light a candle in the name of gratitude for whatever you're experiencing. It's a really lovely day to be with friends or family that really feels supportive, right? It, it would be a great night to host like a dinner, but that's a Tuesday night. I invite you that if you have room, right, in your day, in your calendar, to have coffee at the very least with someone that feels like home, that someone that feels nurturing, with someone who feels safe to share good news with, right? So, beautiful day for that. Okay. Wednesday, September 17th. This is, I think that the energy of this day is the energy, by the way, and it's active all week long, is the energy that is asking us to hold the paradox of life. Okay? That paradox of, wow, this is a really hard thing. And I have so much gratitude of what I know, of where I am, of where I'm headed, that of my connection to source, of my connection to myself. The paradox of life, such as life, right? Two things or multiple things can be true at once. Okay. This is Mercury and Virgo creating an opposition to Saturn and Pisces. A few ways that this can manifest. The first and the most obvious is a hard no. Hard no. Hard pass. I've made up my mind. This is what I'm doing. This is what I know. So it may feel a little inflexible, but here's the thing. A lot of people have been experiencing a lot of opportunity to get clear about what they want in their life and what they don't since the Mercury retrograde we experienced in August. Okay? Ever since then, and I talked about this in that Mercury retrograde forecast, a lot of clarity came about what we want and what we don't want. What this week is going to make clear is that's a hard no. Saturn is the planet of boundaries. Mercury is the planet of communication, of thinking, of I've made up my mind. This is what I know to be true for me. This is how I'm perceiving myself and the world right now. I think that people are going to be very unapologetic about their boundaries this week. And I think that because we are in eclipse season, this opposition is taking place at 28 degrees Virgo Pisces, right? Almost at the end of those signs. This is a pivotal decision. This is a there's no going back. I said no. I said no, and I'm certain about it, right? Let's say that this has something to do with an answer that you're waiting for. And let's say that you're waiting for like an answer from an institution or something outside of you. If the answer is no, please, please, please know that that is you being redirected for something better. Know that that is source, spirit, universe, God protecting you. Please understand that because everything that happens during eclipses is fated energy, is energy that is always, always in all the ways working in our favor. Okay? Don't take it personally. Just understand, oh, yes, that means that something else and better is coming. And by better, I mean more aligned to whom you've become, right? Now, the lower expression of this might be that you feel or that you put yourself between a rock and a hard place. It's I know that something has to change, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what decision to make. I don't know how this is going to happen. It's you digging for the how. It's you worrying, trying to make something happen because you think that that's what you need to do right now. It's eclipse season. One, I'm a big believer in that if we try to make things happen, we are insinuating to the universe that we don't actually believe that it's done. Does that mean you are inactive? No. What that means is that you take action on what's in front of you and make sure that it is aligned with who you are at that moment in time. But this opposition between Mercury, the way you think, the way you perceive the world, especially in Virgo, right? This is trying to make order out of chaos and not being able to because you're probably trying to force order into chaos. And if there's any chaos right now in your life, it's because it's the your life and the 3D is being rearranged to match your highest potential at this moment in time. So, when something is about to take place in your life that is actually for your elevation, for your good, a lot of things need to first fall out of your life. There, you can experience some chaos, and that's okay. That is your indicator. Okay, I'm actually closer than farther away. And so this opposition can have you feeling stuck, can have you feeling, I can't see anything outside of here. I really invite you that if that is what you experience, to take a step back and to go within because Saturn in Pisces is saying the structure, the foundation, the grounding that you're looking for is only within. Slow down. Allow this season to show you what it's meant to show you because the next step will be the next logical step. You will know what to do without a doubt. Okay? All right. So on Thursday, September 18th, Mercury leaves Virgo and enters the sign of Libra. Okay. So Mercury in Libra it's actually pretty decent energy. It's okay. Let me weigh the pros and the cons. Let me consider different points of views. Mercury will remain in Libra till October 6th. And on October 6th, we have a full moon in Aries. Give me 1 second and I'll tell you what that means for this, for what we're experiencing right now. Mercury in Libra is great for negotiations. It's great for seeing someone else's point of view. But here's the thing. Mercury is going to create a trine to Uranus and Gemini, a trine to Pluto and Aquarius, creating a grand air trine. And so that is of possibility. That energy is of breakthrough. That energy is of saying, okay, I surrender to greater possibilities that I have not even considered yet or before. Because we are in eclipse season. In a year like 2025, we can't take the old into the new. We are brand new at life in so many ways. Okay? But here's what Mercury in Libra also does is that it creates an opposition to Neptune in Aries. So Mercury in opposition to Neptune is I don't see the clear picture yet. It's like a cloud of saying, okay, so I'm okay with thinking outside the box, but what does it look like on the other side? Give yourself time. Remember what I said a few moments ago. You will know the next logical step when it presents itself. I promise you it will present itself, especially as we're headed towards that solar eclipse in Virgo on Sunday, right? And for a few weeks after that, into the month of October, the next logical step will present itself. So what is the point of the grand Earth, excuse me, of the grand air trine between Mercury and Libra, Uranus and Gemini, and Pluto and Aquarius? Your willingness to keep an open mind. Your willingness to say, I liberate myself from an old way of thinking. I liberate myself from old ways of trying to figure out the how. And I open myself up to miracles, to possibilities. And your willingness to ride that wave so that the universe can meet you halfway. Okay. Oh, okay. What I was going to say. October 6th, we have a full moon in Aries. Mercury leaves the sign of Libra and enters the sign of Scorpio. Then, October 6th, between now and then is when you will gain clarity of the next logical step, and it will probably manifest around that full moon in Aries. Okay? So, around the first week of October, which is not that far away. Be patient, be present, pay attention, keep an open mind. Okay. Now, Friday, September 19th. We have Venus entering the sign of Virgo and remaining there till October 13th. Okay, so here we have Venus, the planet of relationship, the planet of desire, the planet of beauty, aesthetic, values, money, entering the sign of Virgo. Venus in Virgo is the relationship, Venus, to my daily life. To some people, that's going to sound so boring, so unimportant, and it's probably one of the more important things that we can have, one of the most important relationships that we can have, because Virgo is a sign before Libra, Libra the sign of relationships. And let me tell you why. Venus representing representing the relationship to my in Virgo, my daily routine, my health, my body, my ability to discern what is best for me and what's not, my ability to remain grounded in the way that I show up for myself day to day in my life, for my home, how I take care of myself, how I eat, how I sleep. When we look at the zodiac from a holistic perspective and understand that Virgo comes before Libra, what that tells us is that there is something about that Virgo energy that says, when I have a great relationship, when I tend to myself on the day to day, tend to my life on the day to day, how do I feel on the day to day in my life as an individual? That is the energy that I'm taking into Libra, which represents a partnership, which represents relationship. This can be romantic or otherwise. So when we have a healthy relationship with our life, relationship Venus with our life, Virgo, our day to day, and we enter any kind of partnership from that space, from a very grounded space, we stop expecting others to fulfill our necessities. We stop expecting others to be the ones who sacrifice themselves for us, and we stop sacrificing ourselves for others because relationship was never meant to be about sacrifice. It was meant to be to mirror the wholeness in one another, to fulfill soul contracts with one another. So this Venus in Virgo takes on a different level of meaning. Saturday, September 20th, that Venus in Virgo creates a square to Uranus and Gemini. This is really interesting. This is going to manifest in, I think, really interesting things. Okay, a few things. One, on a more like superficial level of this, I think a lot of people are going to want to change their look. Very radical changes, right? Like we're talking about like shaving our head. We're talking about, I want to dress completely different. I'm going to do an overhaul of my wardrobe and, bring in wild colors and patterns if that's not something you are, right? Um, I'm not saying do it, don't do it. I'm just saying that if you're looking for a radical change, this is a great aspect. Just be sure of what you're doing and that it's not reactive, okay? I think that Venus and Virgo square Uranus and Gemini can also be like this click in like, okay, I'm kind of over that situation. I'm kind of over that person. I'm over that relationship. Okay, enough of this. I'm over it. And liberating yourself from that emotional, spiritual cord and saying, nope, I'm really grateful for what that taught me. I send them a lot of love, no ill will, but time to move on. And because it is a square to Gemini, it kind of happens like this. Again, because it's eclipse season and we're headed towards a solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo, I don't think that this is going to be people pretending. I think this is going to be like, okay, I'm done. Done. Again, that hard no, that hard knowing, because Mercury is still in opposition, even if out of sign, to Saturn in Pisces. Okay. This is going to be the willingness to cut toxic connections if they're still in your life, if that still hasn't happened. This is going to be the willingness to keep an open mind about dating differently. So let's say that you're someone who has a first date the weekend of, the 20th and the 21st. Maybe this is you saying, you know what, this is the type that I have, Venus and Virgo. I tend to have a type. I'm going to date outside the type. I'm going to date outside the box, Uranus and Gemini. And being willing to experiment with what that means, how that makes you feel, the types of conversations you have. Perhaps you go to different places, right? Venus in Virgo square Uranus and Gemini, when it comes to relationship to self, I think this is the willingness to say, okay, I'm really going to stick with a particular routine that is better for me, for supplements, for hormone management, for uh, meal prepping, right? How I eat, when I eat, what I eat. Obviously, and I think I have to say this, I'm not a medical professional, right? These are just some of the things that can be potential ideas or desires that come up for certain people. Okay, so here we are, Sunday, September 21st. We have the solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo at 29 degrees Virgo. This technically marks the second new moon in Virgo, the first one having been on August 22nd. Okay. The first new moon was at 0 degrees Virgo, and the second new moon is at 29 degrees Virgo. So I invite you to think about how much has your life changed since August 22nd to this week, this solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. What has changed? I think that this is going to be especially big for the mutable placements, right? So Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, anyone with mutable signs, you have probably manifested something very external that marked a pivotal point in your life, and there's a before and after that you experienced. And for the rest of us, I think it's going to be, for those of us who don't have heavy mutable placements, it's an internal change. It's maybe we were called to our health, maybe we were called more to our mental health, we were called to boundaries. Where were we sacrificing? Where were we depleting ourselves? It's more of an internal thing. For others, for the mutable signs, I think it's external. So, for those of you who have, again, the eclipse guide, I dove into what the solar eclipse is about. But here's what I'll say about this. This is a point of a rebirth. Like solar eclipses carry the energy of the sun a lot more heavily. It's more of a forceful energy. And being that it's at the 29th degree of Virgo, we are, it's almost like we're coming out of the womb. And it's like that type of rebirth. Again, I invite you to think about from August 22nd to now, how has that felt? How have you had this awakening, right? How did you so drastically and radically change your mind or point of view of something that you thought was going to be the way it used to be before? And life just showed you, no, sorry, sorry, not sorry. That's not happening. And I think that one of the greatest lessons that, you know, this energy has showed us is the gift of not controlling. The gift of us, whether we tried to control this or not, getting the heck out of the way and life being like, no, 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 no. No, just trust me, right? The gift of not controlling. It may have been hard. It may have, pushed a lot of buttons, especially if you're someone who likes to control things a little bit more. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not about right or wrong. It's about the understanding, oh, I have no control. And so what happens when I surrender, not because I'm giving up, but because I understand that right now, the universe really wants to elevate me to my next level, really wants me to get out of my own way so that I can see what's on the other side, really wants me to understand what life gets to look like and feel like when I'm coming from wisdom and not from wound. When I'm choosing love over fear, not because I'm bypassing, but because I understand that the practice of love is the practice of soul evolution. That's what this week represents. As always, may this be of service. So much love to you all. I'll talk to you next week. Take care.